It is traditional that the candidates not appear on the floor of the convention during the period preceding their nomination or their defeat. This tradition was broken back in '52 when Senator Kefauver appeared. He got considerable criticism when his appearance with his then 91-year-old father set off a 20-minute demonstration for him. Adlai Stevenson is an unannounced candidate, but the Kennedy forces seem to think it was rather poor taste for him to appear here at the hall last night, although he is a member of the Illinois delegation. Adlai Stevenson says that he appeared because he thought it wasn't polite if he didn't show any interest in the convention as an Illinois delegate.
Another old tradition went by the board when Hubert Humphrey mentioned Jack Kennedy's name when he was asking for permission to put it in nomination.
I wonder if that wasn't just a slip of the tongue.
Oh, I should imagine so. But the normal practice, for what reason I do not know, is to wait until you get to the man who.
I don't think those paper mache models of Senator John Kennedy do him justice, do you?
No, from this distance, I would say no. The curious atmosphere around that Kennedy headquarters for the last 2 or 3 days. Already it's taken on a sort of presidential aura, you know. Everyone speaking very softly and rising when the senator enters.
It even seems to be true of this demonstration. It just seems to me that this is sort of a perfunctory parade. Let's get it over with and get on with the business and down to the campaign. Just been advised that Paul Butler has been conferring with Senator Mike Monroney of Oklahoma, who's been one of the leaders of the draft Stevenson movement, as to how Stevenson's name will be placed in nomination now that there's been ruled Minnesota cannot have another whack at the podium. CBS News reporter Phil Scheffler reports that the Stevenson people intend to ask the consent of the convention for Mrs. Franklin Delano Roosevelt to second the nomination of Governor Stevenson. She is not a delegate from the state of New York, but has been given floor privileges because of her honored position in the party, but that presumably would not entitle her to speak.
I should doubt they would refuse her, though, wouldn't you?
I shouldn't think so. It's something of a wonder to me, however, that if they're going to ask anyway, why don't they ask to let her put his name in nomination in the first place?
Certainly Mike Monroney, who has been masterminding this campaign for Kennedy, is one of the hardest working men I've ever seen at any convention. The stamina of these managers astonishes me.
Also, there seems to be more zeal and fervor in that among those Stevenson supporters than in any of the other camps. The Kennedy camp is businesslike, all organization pushing right through to the goal they hope to reach here in another couple of hours. But in the Stevenson camp, it's all excitement of an odd nature. Caught a glimpse there a moment ago of Governor Averell Harriman, former governor of the state of New York, at the platform.
He's going to make one of the seconding speeches, isn't he?
Yes, he is, for Kennedy, and there he is with Leonard Wrench.
In just 2 minutes now, I must call on for the seconding speeches. So please start clearing the aisle so that these distinguished Democrats can be heard.
Roy Collins is really running this to the book as nearly as he possibly can, and in the greatest effort at fairness. Ed, he went exactly 20 minutes this time before he pounded that gavel again, and that's just what he did with Johnson.
I'm very much impressed with his clarity of language, too, aren't you, Walter? When he laid out the change in rules, it was just as clear and simple as could be.
Yeah. I got a Texas Once Kennedy banner down there. I dare say that none of the Texas delegates are carrying that one in this parade. Johnson's had any wavering support anywhere. It certainly hasn't been in his home state of Texas. He's had a little difficulty with his own state organization down there. There's this the liberal Democratic wing based in Houston, Texas, that hasn't been in Johnson's camp, but all the delegates out here are wholeheartedly for their man. LBJ all the way.
If it is a Texan carrying that banner, he probably won't go home.
Charles Perrault's down there with the Texas delegation while the Kennedy demonstration goes on. Charles?
This has been a great sea of pacifism and calm in the midst of this disturbance, Walter. By territorial expansion, Texas, you know, has gone through Delaware, which came out for Johnson today, and up through over half of North Carolina, and all the way back through Arkansas to where the Pennsylvania delegates for Kennedy began. Hardly a flag was waved in all this vast sea of humanity during the big Kennedy demonstration. Speaker Rayburn sat stolidly in his seat beside Governor Price Daniel, and this man here kept a tight fist on the Texas state standard. What's your name, sir?
Carl Hill.
Where are you from, Mr. Hill?
Amarillo, Texas.
What's your job been here today?
I'll just kind of lean on this standard to make sure that we don't have to have a second Tea Party.
What would you have done if somebody tried to take it away from you and put it in the Kennedy demonstration?
Well, I believe that people in Texas can take care of themselves.
It sounds frightening. Now back to the booth.
And the Kennedy demonstration goes on, now in its 24th minute. Governor Roy Collins has said that he will call on the seconding speeches, whether the demonstrators sit down or not.
30 seconds. Please clear the aisles. We must stop the noise and confusion. 30 seconds, we will have a seconding speech. Governor of Iowa, the chairman of this convention's Rules Committee, Governor Lovely. Mr. Chairman, fellow Democrats, farmers and merchants of my state of Iowa need help. Farmers and merchants of this nation need help. They are not interested in 4 more years of the party of Benson and Nixon. They want a Democrat in the White House, someone who cares, someone who believes in higher farm income and full parity price. They're not so much concerned about how a man voted in the past as they are about how he will act in the White House. They are not interested in what church he attends on Sunday, but what kind of leadership he provides for the rest of the week. I am here today to nominate and second the nomination of such a man, a leader, a doer, a mover of men and nations, John Kennedy of Massachusetts.
Neil Strasser is down on the floor with Senator Monroney. Come in, Neil.
I next recognize for a brief second
This is Senator Monroney of Oklahoma, one of the chief organizers of the Draft Stevenson movement. Senator, do you think you can hold Senator Kennedy on this first ballot?
Well, I don't think Senator Kennedy can hold Senator Kennedy. I think the first ballot blitz has failed. I think the demonstration last night pretty well proved that. And the desperate effort of the Kennedy people now to rally second ballot strength would indicate to me that they have practically given up, but not quite, on hoping to reach the magic 761. Our figures will show them somewhere around 78 to perhaps 100 votes short of the nomination on the first ballot, including possible switches.
Do you think Adlai Stevenson can get the nomination, and on what ballot?
I think the convention is moving toward Adlai Stevenson. I think he is the candidate most desired by the convention, as demonstrated last night. What is logical and is going to happen if the convention will not be blitzed? If it is blitzed, why then, of course, we finished the football game practically before it started. In other words, we see one kickoff and one run, and the whole game's over. This is not what the people of America wish to see.
Senator Monroney, what procedure will be followed in nominating Adlai Stevenson?
He'll be faced in nomination, according to present plans, by Senator Eugene McCarthy of Minnesota. He'll be seconded by Governor Lehman of New York, by Lieutenant Governor Glenn Anderson of California, by Lieutenant Governor of Kentucky, Wilson Wise.
Thank you very much, Senator Monroney of Oklahoma. Now back to the booth.
Senator, or rather Governor-elect Terry Sanford of North Carolina is now making a seconding speech for Kennedy.
He has matured as a frontline fighter for peace in the legislative halls of our country. He has matured as a frontline fighter for democracy by demonstrating that he can get across the message of militant democracy in all parts of the country. He has demonstrated that he can inspire the people of our country to follow to the heights of America's destiny. We need John Kennedy's vigorous, intelligent, mature, inspiring leadership. John Kennedy is another Franklin D. Roosevelt. For the next seconding speech, I present to you the Honorable Edith Green, Congresswoman from the state of Oregon.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests and delegates, amid the tumult and the shouting of a great national convention, there is seldom the time or the place for quiet reflection by the delegates on the solemnity of their decision. And yet we all know that the future of freedom everywhere will be affected in large measure by what we do in these noisy, crowded days. Last night, we Democrats made noble pledges to the American people. And as a member of Congress, I want to see the realization of those noble pledges. I want to see those schools built. I want to see those slums cleared. I want to see medical research expanded. I want to see every pledge become a program of action. Under John F. Kennedy's leadership, I am convinced that this will be done. And as a legislator, I know that we in Congress cannot translate such programs into facts unless we have a driving, imaginative, tenacious leader in the White House. Drive, imagination, tenacity, leadership, that describes John F. Kennedy. John Kennedy has proved by every test that he can best carry the Democratic program to the American people this November. And through the primaries, I saw him grow steadily in strength and purpose as he campaigned in the hills of West Virginia and as he talked to the people in my own state of Oregon. We all saw him prove his convictions and dedication as he fought in the snows of New Hampshire, the little towns of Maryland, and the beautiful farms of Wisconsin. Not only I, but the millions of Americans who voted for John F. Kennedy are seconding the nomination tonight of that great leader, that great American, Senator John Kennedy.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, for another brief seconding speech, I present to you the distinguished National Committeeman of the District of Columbia, the Honorable Frank Reeves.
Mr. Chairman, fellow Democrats, with the adoption last night of our historic platform for 1960, this convention demonstrated that our party is responsive to the demands of this jet age. What was once considered bold and even radical in the New Deal would be but a horse and buggy ride to this impatient generation, seeking justice and equality for all of our citizens. Boldness must be the course of America, and bold must be its leader. In John F. Kennedy, we offer a bold man who survives and triumphs. He was bold to take his cause to the people in the primaries and in the state convention, and he triumphed. I know, because I campaigned for Hubert Humphrey. He was bold to answer challenges of revered leaders of his party, and he triumphed. He was bold to meet and discuss his position and offer leadership to the men and women struggling for the achievement of full civil rights for all Americans, and he triumphed. He will be the first Democrat in the 20th century to be nominated solely on the basis of his bold and effective appeal to the rank and file Democrats, and he will triumph in November. Under the leadership of this bold new statesman, America will triumph, and there will be a new birth of freedom in our land and for the world. With these convictions, I second the nomination of Senator John F. Kennedy.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I present for another brief seconded speech one of the most distinguished Democrats in all of our history. I could list offices he has held, but it would take entirely too much time on this occasion. May I present to you the Honorable Averell Harriman, former Governor of New York.
Mr. Chairman, fellow delegates, 8 years ago, the people of the free world looked to us with hope and confidence. Never in the history has there been such respect for any nation, not alone for our strength, but for our wisdom and for our purpose and our ideals. Today, tragically, confidence in our strength has been shaken. Our wisdom questioned, our purpose dimmed. Our enemies humiliate us with seeming impunity. Now, our first immediate task is to redeem our destiny to lead the world to freedom and to peace. 2 Democratic presidents brought us to that high position of world prestige, Franklin D. Roosevelt and Harry S. Truman. My friends, they reached the hearts of men the world over because they showed concern for people here at home. Now we are about to nominate and soon to elect such a man again. Now, wherever Senator Kennedy has gone, the American people have been stirred by his courage, his direction, his concern for their needs. He has demonstrated his understanding of America's role in the world. He has shown the indispensable capacity to make up his mind and to act. He has asked the question, where are we going from here? And he has pointed the way. He has shown the toughness and the maturity needed to deal with our enemies in the Kremlin and in Red China. He is no stranger to battle, but beyond that, he has shown courage and heart that will stir the people of the world and make them know that we are again with them. The grand alliance of free men will once again be strong and indomitable. I second the nomination of John F. Kennedy.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the last brief seconding speech of Senator Kennedy, I introduce to you now that young but very distinguished governor of the state of Oklahoma, Governor Edmondson. Governor Collins, and my fellow Americans, how will our efforts at this convention of 1960 be recorded in history? All of us can agree that our primary task is to select a nominee who can win in November and lead the peoples of the free world in the years to come. The Democratic Party has failed or succeeded in past elections in direct proportion to its ability to look beyond the problems of yesterday and to find the new ideas necessary to the solution of the problems of tomorrow. That is our greatest tradition, the tradition of new ideas. Our periods of greatness have been marked by inspired leadership, leadership that overcomes the resistance to change, imaginative leadership that challenges the thinking of all and revitalizes the efforts of the nation. Our party's record is one of greatness. In its pages are recorded accomplishments that stand second to no other political party. Of this record, we can be justly proud. They provide not only the inspiration, but also the blueprint for formulas of the future. The people of the United States, particularly the younger people, are hungry for a presidential nominee who will speak not only of past accomplishments, but will also emphatically and precisely offer the formula for the future. Senator Jack Kennedy has certainly contributed to this record. But more important for today, he looks not at the past, but rather to the days ahead with vision, perception, and courage. As standard bearer of the Democratic Party of 1960, Jack Kennedy is the only man who has already proved that magnetic appeal in the election booths. All of us, each and every one, not only here but throughout this nation, young and old, can carry his banner with pride through the election and to our goal, victory in 1960. And it is with this feeling of pride that I second the nomination of the next President of the United States, Jack Kennedy.
Time now for Fred Davis and something new from Westinghouse.
It's reading out loud to children, Walter. Westinghouse Broadcasting Company thought this old custom could add so much to family life today that they produced a series of 15 half-hour television programs called Reading Out Loud, in which well-known people read to young children, and they love it.
So this is a river. The river.
Julie Harris.
And you really live by the river? What a jolly life. By it and with it and on it and in it, said the rat.
Moving his tail slowly from side to side.
Harry Belafonte.
There's a little thing that I ask. What I want you to do is to bring me Mr. Snake alive. He would build a calabash. You know what a calabash is? In the West Indies, the trees are very thick in some parts of the jungle, and the long vines hang down.
By rights, I am Duke.
Jose Ferrer.
Jim's eyes bugged out when he heard that, and I reckon mine did too. Then the bald head says, no.
Hide and seek, say I to myself. And
Archibald MacLeish.
Out of the dream of wake, into the dream of sleep.
Well, you can see why Reading Out Loud has won such a devoted audience. Westinghouse Broadcasting Company has made this series of 15 half-hour programs available upon request to any TV stations. I hope your children get a chance to see it. You can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
On the floor of the convention, the roll call of states for nominating speeches has just been resumed. Arizona's just been called.
Nomination that has just preceded us, it is our honor, on behalf of the Oklahoma State of the Union, to pass. Arkansas, Chairman Tom Harper, Chairman of the Arkansas delegation.
The delegate is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, Arkansas is for Johnson all the way.
That's right. He's for Johnson all the way.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, because of our great respect and admiration for our distinguished junior senator, Arkansas cheerfully yields to our gracious sister state of Florida that his name may be placed before this convention. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate from Florida is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, Florida, the original and unequaled Sunshine State, proudly announces the presence on the platform of its distinguished and beloved senior senator, Cussard Holland, for the purpose of making a nomination.
Will you clear the hall of all banners of previously nominated candidates? It isn't fair, it isn't right, it isn't consistent with the rules for banners for previously nominated candidates to be maintained in the hall. Please clear the aisle. It is with great pride at this time that I introduce to you the distinguished senior senator from the state of Florida. In any campaign of the Democratic Party in Florida, Senator Holland is always found out front, openly and vigorously advocating the success of our nominees. He is a man with a distinguished record of service not only to the state of Florida but to the nation, and I'm happy to present him to you at this time, Senator Holland.
Mr. Chairman, fellow delegates and my fellow Democrats.
Excuse me just a minute. But we must break up this congestion here around the Massachusetts Standard. You are directly between the chair and the delegation from Florida. And it is most difficult for that delegation when this congestion exists here around the Massachusetts Standard. Will you please break up this congestion in here? I can still see many signs and banners for previously nominated candidates. Now, in a spirit of fairness and in consistency with the rules, please lower all of the signs for previously nominated candidates.
Spessard Holland, who was waiting there to give the nominating speech for Senator George Smathers, the junior senator from Florida, is at 68 years old and with 14 years seniority in the Senate, somewhat a senior in Florida politics, to the chairman of this convention, Leroy Collins, and he just gave a fatherly pat on the back to Collins and told him he was doing all right as chairman of this meeting.
Walter, I continue to be amazed at the professional skill of these Kennedy people. Did you notice in their series of seconding speeches, they took every criticism that has been made of Kennedy, except the character of his father, dealt with them one after another. The contention that he couldn't win the Negro vote, the Catholic issue, his maturity, the record of Kennedy on farm voting, 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Chairman,
very skillful.
fellow delegates, and my fellow Democrats, I bring you warm greetings from nearly 1.5 million registered Democrats of Florida, the Sunshine State. May I say first that we Florida Democrats are exceedingly proud of the fact that our distinguished governor, Honorable Leroy Collins, presides over this historic convention as its permanent chairman. We are grateful to you, the Democrats of the nation, for the high honor which you have bestowed upon our governor and our state. And now, Mr. Chairman, I speak for all members of our delegation and for all Florida Democrats who, as loyal Americans and citizens of the fastest growing state in the Union, wholeheartedly support the nomination which it is my high honor to make, as we offer to the Democrats of America as their nominee for president our state's favorite son, my beloved colleague, Senator George A. Smathers. In these perilous times, when our very existence as a nation is threatened from many quarters, the party now in executive power, through its weakness, its failure to act, or ineffective action, has clearly demonstrated that it is totally incapable of adequate leadership in this critical situation. During the past 7.5 years, we have seen our position of unquestioned cultural, industrial, financial, and military leadership among the nations of the world so deteriorate that now we are on the defensive in many areas, even at our very doorstep. Our citizens are anxious and even distressed above every other value we need in this nation, restored to confidence in our leadership, in ourselves, and in our high national purpose and destiny. To rescue us from this steady erosion and to restore our nation to its rightful place in the world, we must have firm, intelligent, aggressive leadership by a chief executive who can inspire others to work for government which is clean, intelligent, and strong. We offer to the Democrats of America, Mr. Chairman, a man who by training, temperament, experience, and outstanding ability is well qualified to provide such needed leadership.
So
And so, Senator John Fitzgerald Kennedy, 43 years old, of the state of Massachusetts, is the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States by order of this convention in Los Angeles. We have a report from CBS News correspondent Bill Downs regarding the vice presidential selection that must be made now by Senator Kennedy, since he says he will take that traditional role of naming his running mate, will not throw it open to the convention. Bill Downs says that spokesman for the senator says that talks are underway, will continue throughout this night on the question of the vice presidential running mate. The spokesman says that Senator Kennedy already has discussed the vice presidential possibilities with Governor DeSalle of Ohio, Governor Lawrence of Pennsylvania, Mayor Wagner of New York City, and Mayor Daley of Chicago. Those were the leaders of the big states that put him across for this presidential nomination, and also Governor Herschel Lovelace of Iowa, who has been mentioned as a possibility for the nomination. The spokesman adds that no discussions have taken place with Senator Symington or Adlai Stevenson. Ed, did you note, as I did, that Senator Kennedy seemed to be quite deliberate in not mentioning Adlai Stevenson among those whose position he appreciated tonight?
I did indeed. It seemed to me the omission was obvious and probably calculated. I was also impressed by the fact that he said, again, this is typical of him, this firm, direct approach. He said, I will be worthy. Not I will try to be worthy or anything else. It's a direct affirmative statement.
I would think that perhaps if his omission of Adlai Stevenson among those whose sentiments he understood tonight was deliberate, it probably was because Stevenson was never an avowed candidate, and the Kennedy forces always felt that this last-minute draft Stevenson drive was somehow or other below the belt. Ed, I'll come back in just 1 minute, but right now, time for Betty Furness and something new from Westinghouse.
Well, my news tonight, Walter, is from Canton, Ohio, where another of our Westinghouse Total Electric Gold Medallion homes has just opened. This particular home was designed for Westinghouse by noted architect Jack Morse and features this crow's nest in the family room. Mr. Morse has taken advantage of many unusual and beautiful ideas in lighting this home. For instance, most of the switches in this house are these beautiful fashion plate switches, where the touch of a finger turns lights on or off. As you see, here in the family room, Mr. Morse has concealed fluorescent lighting, providing clear, even, indirect illumination. This is the unusual and beautiful fixture in the breakfast room. And watch, you control the intensity of the light through this ingenious dimmer arrangement. Of course, the real heart of this marvelous total electric home is its clean, convenient electric heating. Westinghouse baseboard heating here. To learn more about the ease and convenience of total electric living, send for this free Westinghouse Plans Guide today. To get it, simply send your name and address to Westinghouse, Box A, Mansfield, Ohio, but do it today.
Well, Ed, that's it.
A little after midnight in Los Angeles. Walter, I think we owe a bow to our colleagues who drew up that chart of how the voting would go, which was about as accurate a piece of forecasting as the professional politicians did. For my own part, I have nothing more to say, Walter, than that I would like to remove these rheumy old eyes and this crumpled countenance from under these lights and go and get some food.
I second that nomination wholeheartedly, Ed, and can cast all of my votes for it. Our colleagues who did that great job of tabulating and forecasting were Sam Zellman and Lee Coney, for the most part, with the help of the whole CBS News staff. We'll be back at 5 o'clock tomorrow Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time for the Vice Presidential nominating session. This is Walter Cronkite saying good night. We'll be back with you tomorrow from the Democratic National Convention in Los Angeles, again brought to you by Westinghouse. Westinghouse, where new ideas mean better electrical products for your home, for industry and defense. Until tomorrow, good night from Westinghouse.
Because of today's broadcast of the Democratic National Convention, a number of local and network programs were not seen at their regular times. The network programs included the Douglas Edwards News, Reckoning, Men into Space, The Millionaire, I've Got a Secret, and the United States Steel Hour. All programs will be seen as usual next week. Join us again tomorrow for more convention coverage on the CBS television network.